Australia's largest rocket testing facility gets the green light, an Aussie startup's revolutionary Earth observation computer, and the fallout from that Starship launch continues.
This is Trekzone's Talkin' Science.
This is the Bite-Size Podcast, catching you up on the latest science and space headlines. The Coonamble Community Aboriginal Corporation has been awarded $4.5 million by the Australian Federal Government to work with Southern Launch to develop one of the largest rocket testing facilities in the world, continuing a years-long partnership developing and operating the important piece of Australian space industry infrastructure. The Coonamble Range is the first licensed space launch facility in Australia and has a long list of local and international customers eager to use the facilities. A portion of the funding will be set aside to develop an observatory, which will have a strong connection to Indigenous sciences as well as being a tourist destination. Spiral Blue, an Australian startup success, has announced that the country's first edge computer has successfully completed commissioning in orbit. Launched to orbit by a Falcon 9 rocket back in January, telemetry was received at the start of April. The Space Edge 1 computer is now the first of its kind to be operational in space. It's hoped the technology will revolutionise the data processing capabilities of Earth observations. The key difference here is that the processing of raw data captured by the suite of sensors on board the satellite is completed on board before transmission back to Earth. This alleviates bandwidth bottlenecks, speeding up workflows and saving time and money. A new Australian and US government program will see 5 Indigenous university students undertake a 10-week summer internship at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. The National Indigenous Space Academy was launched by Minister for Industry and Science Ed Husick and Minister for Indigenous Australians Linda Burney during the NASA visit a few weeks ago. 5 undergraduate or postgraduate students will be selected to attend a space boot camp prior to their time at JPL. They'll be paired up with a scientist or engineer mentor and complete projects while contributing to active missions. Japan's hakuto-r lander has seemingly come up short in its bid to make history this week. Tokyo-based iSpace had attempted to become the first private spacecraft to land on the lunar surface, pushing through from its original 2018 goal to win the Lunar X Prize from Google of $20 million. Taking 4 months to reach the moon, the craft did send back some incredible images before attempting to land on the 87-kilometre wide Atlas crater. And while the lander did send back a steady stream of data during the attempt, communication was lost shortly thereafter, and no attempts to reach it again have been successful. There's that incredible image from the solar eclipse. The first ever direct image of a black hole's powerful accretion has been captured. MEISA 87's supermassive black hole was once again the focus of imaging efforts, with the black hole having previously been snapped separately from the jet of material, and that jet also in its own photo. But this is the first time both are in the same frame. The first image of M87 was captured in 2017 and revealed 2 years later, at the very beginning of Talkin' Science, by the Event Horizon Telescope. This image was created using 2018 data from the Global Millimetre VLBI Array, the Greenland Telescope, and the Atacama Large Millimetre/Sub-Millimetre Array. Time to talk about that Starship launch last week, boy oh boy, and the Federal Aviation Administration has grounded the massive rocket pending a mishap investigation after a huge crater was punched into the ground of the launch facility before the rocket spectacularly blew up in response to an abort command issued from Mission Control. Dust and debris rained down on residents in Port Isabel over 10 kilometres away, as well as across Boca Chica's beaches, threatening nesting grounds for endangered animals. There's also extensive damage to the launch complex, with concrete shrapnel flung dangerously close to the fuel storage tanks, as well as into the ocean. Now, unlike other launch sites for large-scale rockets, Starbase lacks a deluge system to suppress the shockwaves associated with launch with water or foam, and there is no flame trench to safely channel exhaust away from the pad, something Elon Musk prophetically tweeted about in October 2020, saying they were, quote, aspiring to have no flame diverter in Boca, but this could turn out to be a mistake. As a result of the distance covered by the debris, the FAA's Anomaly Response Plan has been activated, requiring SpaceX to complete additional environmental mitigations before applying for a new license. The SpaceX founder optimistically tweeted they should be ready to launch in 1 to 2 months. Good luck with that. The Czech Republic is expected to sign the Artemis Accords at a ceremony at NASA headquarters in Washington on May 3rd. The Eastern European nation will join Australia, France, Mexico, New Zealand, Romania, Brazil, Canada, and 16 other nations in describing a shared vision for principles grounded in the Outer Space Treaty of 1967. To create a safe and transparent environment which facilitates exploration, science, and commercial activities for all of humanity to enjoy. Our new podcast offering is live. Find each of Trekzone's shows on Google or Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and more. You can also find our channel now in the iTunes library for a one-stop shop of all Trekzone's goodness. So jump onto your favourite podcast app, find Trekzone, and subscribe. Memberships are available on YouTube too, both for early access and behind the scenes for our next Star Trek fan film. And our social media feeds have podcast highlights and Star Trek episodes. Get all the details over on Trekzone right now. I'm Matt Miller for Trekzone. Let's chat about this week's science and space stories, including Starship. Just incredible images coming out of that. Absolutely incredible. Let's chat about it in the comment, all for the sake of engagement.